Hi everyone, Fiona the Clean Kitchen Coach here, and I am with my friend Catherine, who helped me edit my book, The Busy Mom's Guide to a Clean Kitchen. And we are here today to make wild rice and mushroom soup. And yes, it's when I ran my catering business, it outsold all other soups combined. So it's a little popular. Couldn't keep up with it.
To taste it.
So, and the reason why I chose the wild rice and mushroom soup is because there's so many skills that I can teach when we're making this soup. So the first thing that we are going to do is get a knife.
And I get to learn the skills.
The knife skills, okay. So this is really important. You don't need a whole bunch of fancy kitchen gadgets, you just need to know how to use a knife. And some people are scared of cutting themselves, but the way I'm going to teach you, it's almost impossible to cut yourself if you have a sharp knife and you use the method that I'm going to teach you. So we're going to try a mushroom. So you're going to claw your hand, and then you're going to pinch the knife. So most people hold the knife like this. We don't want to do that. We want to pinch the bolster of the knife.
Okay.
And then the other three fingers are wrapped around the handle. Good, excellent. And then with your clawed hand, you want the bolster of the knife, the blunt part here, is going to rest against your knuckle. At all times it's in contact with your knuckle. And the rest of your fingers are curled away. So you see there's no way that that blade can get your fingers. You want to make sure that your thumb is also tucked in. So you've got this O shape.
I got an O shape.
You got an O shape. Good.
That's a skill I really need, you know.
Okay, and then you're going to put the sharp end of the knife down on the cutting board. And you're going to rock down. Then you're going to use your clawed hand to push the food forward. Now, at first when you're learning this skill, it's great to go nice and slow. But after a while, your muscle memory will kick in and you'll be able to go quicker. But when you're first learning this skill, as in any skill, you want to go slow.
Okay.
What is the saying? Slow goes fast, something?
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. When you go slow is steady, steady is quick. That's it.
So far, doing really good.
So when you're making soup, stew, stir fry, chili, you want to make sure that your vegetables are cut evenly, and that's going to allow them to cook evenly. So I'm used to making this soup enough for 25 2-cup bowls at a time. So we're going to scale it down and just make enough for us to try some today.
If you knew how many times I cut my fingers when I'm cooking, oh my god. I think I should have learned this a long time ago.
How does that feel?
Good.
Oh, it looks really good too. Good job.
Good.
All right, so we are gonna cut all of the vegetables up. The next we're gonna do is the carrots. So let's get these on a plate. Put them in a bowl. Okay. So ideally what you wanna do is prep all of your vegetables before you start cooking. And what that's going to do is reduce your stress and reduce the chance of burning things. Because if you start cooking the mushrooms while you cut the carrots, then you have to be very mindful of not burning things. So it's a little less stressful and a lot more fun if we just prep all the vegetables before we go ahead and start cooking. Now, Catherine, I know that you're very much about no waste. So would you keep that?
I never tried, but I know it would probably grow.
Yes?
If I put it in the ground, we should try it.
Okay.
Yeah. So are we using the same technique with the carrots?
Yes, so I just want to mention about the carrots, we're not going to peel them. So we wash them really well, and the reason we don't peel them is there's lots of nutrients close to the skin or the peel of fruits and vegetables.
Am I doing
So, wait, let's cut it in.
Oh. Cut it in half?
Cut it lengthwise. Because it's, for a soup, you want your vegetables to be kind of small, because you want on that spoon there to be several chunks of each vegetable. So if you were doing a stew, you would leave it a little thicker, or a chili, maybe chili is small. But with a soup, you want small pieces. It's not a race, but if it was, I won.
Well, if it was a race, I think you would have warned me.
So a mirepoix is carrots, celery, and onion. And a good rule of thumb is you want as many onions as there are carrots and celery combined. So you're just gonna eyeball it. The whole premise of my entire book is no measuring, no recipes. So I'm just saying just about as much onion as there is carrots and celery combined.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that much onion? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the celery, I cut it down the middle. And then this root part, I'm gonna just give it an extra cut there. And then I can go ahead and do this is called the tip fulcrum method.
What's the name of that method again?
Tip fulcrum. These are supposed to be non-stick cutting pads, but mine is definitely sliding all over the place. So what you could do if you have a cutting board and you don't want it to move around on you, you get a cloth and you wet it. And you put it under the board.
Okay.
Want to try?
Sure.
You won that race.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want the third one too?
Sure. Do you ever put your celery in the ground and grow it?
I haven't tried that. I tried the pineapple, you know, the stem of the pineapple, and it didn't grow.
Did it go moldy?
I don't know what happened. Can't remember.
So what you could do with your scraps is keep them and make a stock. So just collect all the peels and ends of your...
Oh, you mean instead of buying those broth in
Yeah.
the Tetra Packs,
Yeah.
you can make yourself your own broth?
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
idea.
Keep a baggie in your freezer and put all the ends in there, and then when it's full, just throw some water and a bay leaf over it and simmer it, and you'll make a nice stock.
Good idea. That way you don't need to buy those little cubes either, or the Tetra Pak. So you're saying that I should be putting that much onion?
Well, we're not going to use all of this, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're going to use a handful of each, so then we would need 2 handfuls.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So
Onion.
teach you how to cut an onion. Okay, so the root end is our friend. This is
Right.
the root end. So we want to keep that intact. We're going to slice it in half and take off the papery part.
What do you do with this little one here? This little stem? You
Just rip it off.
Okay. And why are we not removing this?
The top that will take off. It's the root that we don't.
We're gonna keep.
It's gonna keep it all together for us. So we can cut off the top.
Good for the broth.
Good for the broth, yes. Okay, so now you want to, with your hand flat and your knife flat, you're gonna slice, but you're gonna stop before you hit the root. Just before you hit the root. Oh, you went too far.
I did. Okay.
Okay, and then you're gonna put the tip down to the root on the side and slice it like that.
And that's very fancy.
And then the third cut you're gonna make, you're gonna hold it together, slice.
That's interesting. Well, everybody has a different way of dicing onions.
Yeah, but mine is the right way.
Oh yeah? Why? Tell me. Where did you learn it? Like, what's the...
So I took a cooking class.
Oh, okay.
And that is where I learned it. But you're right, everyone has their own way.
And then did you end up taking the root out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the root comes out.
All right. We tried to do it her way. The cooking class way.
So the most important thing that I learned in cooking class was that if you have 2 cooks, you'll have 5 opinions.
Wow.
And that was so liberating for me because before that, when I was cooking with somebody and they would say, "You're doing it wrong," I would really take that personally. And then I learned that there are so many ways to cook.
So there is many ways of dicing an onion?
There's many ways of dicing an onion.
Good.
So all that matters is that the onion gets diced and nobody gets hurt,
Okay.
including food safety as well as no fingers being chopped off.
We're putting this in a bowl.
Okay, do you have any tips for not crying when you're cutting an onion?
Well, I have an very old actually, from my grandmother. I think it's from my grandmother. There's no way of finding out. You put a piece of bread in your mouth and the bread sticks out and gets all the fumes before they hit your eyes.
Have you tried that?
No.
I have. I've definitely tried that.
Yeah?
It does not, no.
Okay, what's your trick then?
If you put the onion in the freezer for a few minutes before you start cutting it, then the water won't rise to your eyes, I guess. I don't know the science behind it. If you wear goggles, that'll protect your eyes. I've done that. And okay, so we're gonna do 2.
I don't cry too much though. Do you cry a lot when
I'm
you
trying not to cry right now. Okay, so that's a great amount. And then we just need to get the garlic ready. So I am a firm believer in a garlic press. Do you use a garlic press?
I don't. But I used to. When I put it in my dressing, I did, but then there was always some garlic left on the bottom of my press, so I had to dice it anyways. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna dice the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to use the knife and the cutting board anyway. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the garlic press, but I am trying to improve my knife skills and my garlic knife skills enough to not have to have one. Because consistently chefs will tell you you don't need them. I, however, have not mastered that skill. So let's see. So, do you know how to get the skin off easily?
No.
You can
I'm
put
ready to learn.
You can put it in a jar and you shake it and all the skins come off.
Or you could just press on it.
Or you could just do this. So,
Or what about that technique?
yes, we're gonna do that. So, but first we're gonna cut off the end.
Okay.
And see, as I cut, I held the skin down and then I roll and it rolls off.
And
And
then
do the other
rest
side.
This one came off really easily. Did you know it also depends on the age of the garlic?
No.
When it's super fresh, it doesn't come off easily, and when it gets older, it gets easier.
Huh. Okay, so then flat, and like you gotta want it.
Do you do both at the same time?
No, I'm a one at a time
Okay.
kind of a girl. Okay, and then
Ooh.
like really,
Oh my goodness.
it'll be the best
You
if I
have
got
to
on
be
the
a
camera
ninja.
lens. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna turn into a ninja now. A couple times?
Yeah. Take out all your aggressions on that.
Well, I don't know, my poor garlic.
And then with your tip fulcrum method,
And then dice.
and then dice.
Well, I can't do this though. Right? I have to put my hand on top of the knife instead.
That's a good idea.
Okay. I actually like your little cutting board here.
Like the slippery non-slip cutting boards.
And it bounces. Okay, what do we do with the garlic?
Let's put them in this little bowl.
Okay.
Garlic, when it burns, is very bitter.
Very good.
Very bitter.
Okay.
Not good at all. So we want to be very gentle with the cooking. The garlic. So we want a little bit of lemon juice for our soup. Anytime you're making any soup, stew, chili, you want an acid in there. It's really going to brighten the flavor of it. So to get lots of juice out of the lemon, you're going to roll it, and you want to make sure that it's room temperature. And like really roll it, really, yeah.
Crush it again, like.
And then you're gonna take your knife and you're gonna pierce a hole, like you're gonna pierce the skin.
Okay.
And then that'll make it easier to cut. So if you just tried to cut it like this without piercing it, it's harder to go through.
Yeah, I get it.
Piercing it will make it easier.
Okay.
Then you're gonna take a fork.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna give you this in a second. So you're gonna put your fork in there. And you're gonna scrape it all around. Loosen up the juice. And then you're gonna squeeze it between your fingers so that your fingers are gonna catch the seeds. And the juice will go through your fingers.
So, what about a lemon press?
A lemon press is a good idea.
Okay.
Yes, this is an
This is
alternative.
what you do if you don't have
This is
one.
what you do if
Oh,
you don't have
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try that then. Fork. And my hands are clean, and I go like this.
Yep.
Like this, all around.
Yep.
And now I'm good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
then, and then I go like this
Yep.
to
Yes.
catch the seeds.
You got it.
And then I press.
Yeah.
Wow. Never heard of this technique before.
I don't have a citrus press with me technique.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, how many lemons do you need?
Just the one.
Just the one, okay.
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 It's time to cook. So we want to make sure that our pan is hot before we put the vegetables in there. And the reason for that is that we want to caramelize the sugars. So if we put the vegetables in and it's not hot, then the sugars are not going to caramelize. And what happens when the sugars are caramelized is it forms a barrier, right? So all the outside of the vegetable has this barrier around it from the caramelized sugar, and then all of the moisture gets trapped inside of it.
Wow.
So it's gonna,
This is really cool. I didn't know that.
yeah. So we want to make sure the pan is hot, but how do we make sure that the pan is hot?
Turn the heat on.
Yeah, so here's the thing, you don't want it too hot because then you're gonna burn the sugars instead of caramelizing them.
Okay.
So how do we know when it's warm enough?
Oh, okay. How do we know?
Okay, we're gonna take some water and we're gonna throw it in there. And if it sizzles, we know it's nice and warm. If the water turns into little beads and scurries around the pan, then it gets too hot. So if it was too hot, what would we do? How do we solve that problem?
I don't know.
We take it off the heat for a while and let it cool down. So you see how it's just sizzling?
It's perfect. Looks like.
So I'm gonna let it get too hot so I can show you. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Scurrying around like
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure.
That means it's too hot. So we could put some water in there, that'll cool it down, or we could take it off the heat. So, throw some water in there. Turn the heat down. Okay.
Okay.
So usually when I ran my business, I would cook with oil, but since then I've gotten a lot cheaper because that was like 3 years ago and the price of food was way different. Now it's so expensive. So a way that you can save money and save calories is just don't use oil. And oil coats your tongue, so you don't actually improve the taste of things by using oil, but the oil does trigger some hormones in your brain that make you really happy, and that's why we like oily food.
I also heard that it was not as easy to digest when you have oil. It inhibits your digestion.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyways.
So we're gonna just cook with broth instead of oil. So we've got the water in there and we've got these cubes. And instead of just throwing the whole cube in there, because it'll sink to the bottom and stick, what you want to do is break it into little pieces.
And do you want 2 cubes in there or just 1?
We could do 2. You could do the other one. And then you want to stir it. Okay, and we gotta get some water in there. So whenever you're cooking with water or broth instead of oil, you want to make sure that you have lots of water available to, because water will evaporate, whereas oil obviously, oil doesn't evaporate. So you need to keep replenishing the water as it bakes off, as it, what's it called? As it evaporates. So we're gonna put the vegetables in, but we're gonna do it one at a time. So
Okay.
we're not gonna pour all the vegetables in. We put the carrots in, let them saute, and that because if we put them all in, it's gonna get the temperature of the pot too low.
So carrots first?
Yeah, we could do, but we're only gonna do a handful. We won't do all of them. When we're gonna wait till the water gets hot again. Otherwise, we're gonna steam them instead of caramelizing the sugars.
Oh yeah. So you wait till the water is boiling.
Nice and hot.
And then you wait till the cumin is completely dissolved kind of thing?
It's like not dissolving.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get those carrots, a handful of carrots thrown in there.
One handful. There we go.
Okay.
And then let them cook for a while?
Oh, I usually just go for 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. And then celery?
And then celery, yeah. Okay.
One handful.
Would you think that was 30 seconds?
I think
Probably
so.
not. Should we sing happy birthday? It's a 30 second.
Oh, yeah?
Or twinkle, twinkle, little star.
We've already read it.
All right, let's do it.
And you
Good.
want to read one more? Another 30 seconds?
Another 30 seconds. Allow it to get nice and hot again. And then we're going to put in the
Mushrooms?
onions.
Onions?
Yeah.
But we do 2 handfuls this time.
That's right.
I'm a good student there.
One 1,000, two one.
Thermographers should tell us. What? Oh, 30 seconds gone by. You didn't know because we didn't ask him at the beginning, so.
We'll call that 30 seconds.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 and 2. So why do we have to do it one at a time?
Because otherwise it'll cool the pot down too much.
Okay. That makes sense. So, as an alternative, can we have just water, and instead of the little cubes, we could have spices that we
Yes.
add ourselves?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. I've done that.
Because that's what I do too.
Which kind of spices do you like to use in yours?
Well, salt and pepper, that's the obvious, and then I love turmeric and cumin,
Right.
curry, garlic powder. These are the main ones, but then I like herbs too, like thyme,
Right.
basil,
Oregano.
all those yummy
I feel like
things.
oregano has to go.
Then
in
it
there.
all depends, right, on what I'm making. If I'm going to have something more Indian flavored or Italian flavored, so I do a little bit less curry or a little bit more thyme and basil, or, kind of varies. I like coriander too.
Sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's throw the mushrooms in there.
Handful?
Let's do all of them.
All of them?
It is a wild rice and mushroom soup.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing about the mushrooms is they are gonna really shrink down.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you ever put spinach in your cooking?
I don't. I usually do like seasoned,
Right.
vegetables. Although I do buy mushrooms and peppers.
I like spinach in everything, including smoothies, because it really adds a lot of sweetness.
Sounds like John loves spinach and everything, and peppers, and mushrooms, and onions.
Sounds so good.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I
so
use celery lots too. Celery and onions and carrots.
with spinach, you have to have you can buy the great big bag. It's like the size of a pillow.
And it shrinks.
And when it's done, there's a cup
Mm-hmm.
left.
When do you put the garlic in?
We are gonna put the garlic in right now.
Okay. All of it, right?
Yeah.
Because you never have too much garlic. Oh, and what I like sometimes instead, or I use fresh ginger in some soups.
Right.
When those are really good in the winter, garlic and ginger.
So
now,
this has a lot of liquid in it, probably from the mushrooms. So we want to cook a little bit of that out. And my mouth is watering. Doesn't that look so good? So there is a lot of liquid in there. If we were using oil, and it would be, the pan would be pretty dry, and the vegetables would be sticking to the bottom a little bit. And that's really flavorful, that stuff. And how you get it off there is you put cold liquid on it, and it will release the brown bits from the pan. And the liquid that you want to use is ideally acidic, so you can use lemon or lime or vinegar or citrus juice. But today we're going to use the lemon that we...
That much?
Sure.
The whole thing?
Maybe, that seems like...
You have about like...
Seems like a lot.
3 tablespoons maybe in there?
Maybe half of that.
After that?
We don't know. We'll taste it later, and if it's not bright enough, we can add more.
Okay.
And then we need to throw the rice in there. So we have a wild rice and
So how
brown.
much do we have? A cup?
About a cup. We're gonna throw it
About a
all
cup?
in there. And again, it doesn't matter where it's like, do we want a really, really thick soup? Then we're gonna add more of the rice. And if we want it thinner, then we'll add less.
You inspired me. This is going to be the next soup I make.
Okay, so let's throw a bunch of water in there, remembering that the rice is going to absorb it. So
you
probably
don't measure your water, right?
no,
You just put a bunch.
just a bunch. It's very scientific. Bunch.
A bunch of water.
Okay.
How more?
Yeah, let's go all the way because that rice is gonna absorb all that water.
So more.
Yeah. So when you're bringing the soup temperature up, you want it to simmer and not boil. And the reason why you don't want to boil it is because that harsh bubble will smash the vegetables and make the outside mushy and the inside still hard. So if you simmer instead, so you're just looking for a light little bubble around the outside, then you're going to cook the vegetables evenly. The wild rice is not actually rice, and it takes a super long time to cook. So I would say put a lid on this and check after an hour. Like that's how long it takes.
Okay, on a slow simmer.
I would put more, even more water though.
More water?
On a low simmer. So you want to bring it up to almost a boil and then reduce the heat.
More?
Yeah.
The whole thing? Okay.
So are we missing anything?
What about salt, pepper? You all good with that?
So I actually, when I bought the soup base, I bought the one with the salt in it.
Okay.
And I wouldn't add salt and pepper anyways until it's time to plate it. Bowl it.
Okay.
Soup. Because I find that those flavors just cook out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the pepper, but for sure the salt. Like
Yeah, you would check at the last minute to see if it's just right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you liked it spicy, like you said, cayenne, that would be a really nice addition to this.
Thyme. I love thyme with
Thyme.
mushrooms.
Thyme would be a really nice addition as well.
Mm-hmm.
We do have fresh parsley, so that's going to be nice at
Sounds
the
good
end,
too.
though. And we're going to put the coconut milk on
Oh, coconut.
at the end.
Ooh,
So it doesn't curdle
that's
and burn. If you put the coconut milk in now and boil it, it would probably burn.
Yeah, so you
So
put it
keep
before
that
you
up.
serve. Then.
Right before we serve, yeah. So the bubbles coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and turn that down a little bit and put the lid on. and come back. It should be ready in time for dinner.
Awesome. What happens if you don't have like celery in the fridge, or you can't eat garlic or anything like that? Like what do you do with this recipe?
Okay, so that's an excellent question, and that's what I want to teach people. That's the entire premise of me making all of these videos, is to teach people that if you don't like garlic, you don't have to put it in there. You don't even have to substitute it. You could just not have garlic. Or if you had garlic powder, you could use that if you didn't have fresh garlic and you wanted garlic in there. If you didn't have celery, you don't like celery, just leave it out. If beets are in season and you like beets, go ahead and throw those in there.
Whatever I have in my fridge then, like red pepper or cabbage, even a little bit of cabbage.
Lots of cabbage.
Yeah.
Cabbage is so good. The only thing is that you have to pay attention to how those things cook. So if I really like peas, I couldn't put the peas in right now because they're going to get mushy. Peas are something that you want to put in. Actually, I turn off the heat altogether and put the peas in and let the residual heat heat those up. And then broccoli too. Broccoli, really good unless it's mushy, which is really terrible. So with the broccoli, you want to be mindful to put that in closer to the end as well.
Yeah, good idea.
With the cabbage, I would put that in with all the other vegetables. If it was spinach, I put it in at the very end, using the residual heat, and put a lid on and let it steam. So you can use whatever you want. We're just following a method instead of a recipe, and we do have to pay attention to how
it cooks. How long it cooks.
How long it takes to cook. And the substitutes.
Substitutes?
And the substitutions. Not only do they apply to vegetables, but they apply to almost every single thing we did here. So for example, instead of the oil, we did the broth, and instead of lemon juice, you could do lime juice or vinegar. Instead of salt, you could do soy sauce, which I usually do because it's delicious. I use the tamari, so it's and if you wanted it sweet, you could use some dates in there or some coconut sugar. And I'm just thinking for the liquid, if you didn't want to use coconut milk, you could go ahead and use
oat milk or any kind of other milks.
And so if you're looking in the book that I wrote, it does have a list in there of all the substitutions broken down by salt and fat and
acids.
A really fun way to improve the flavor of any of your soups, stews, chilies, any dish really, is to put a little bit of green onion on there and a little bit of parsley, fresh parsley, and it is going to be transformational.
I have to agree.
That's how you go from, oh, it's okay, to, wow, this is fabulous.
Cilantro too sometimes.
Oh yeah. Or dill, fresh dill.
Or dill.
Or fresh basil. Any of the fresh herbs on there.
Yeah.
So with the green onions, you want to cut them on a bias. So that means that you're going to cut them on an angle like this.
Why?
Because it looks prettier.
It looks prettier.
I don't know, maybe there's a scientific reason why it would taste better. But it just looks really pretty when they're sliced like that. But when I'm doing mine, I usually use scissors, kitchen shears. So I can have.
Do you do it on an angle too, even with the scissors?
And I would cut it right over top of the dish.
Oh yeah, okay.
With the scissors like that. Yeah, I do it. I don't know why. It's just fun to use scissors. And then we want to get that parsley ready. Do you have any tips for getting the parsley off the stem?
Oh well, I'll show you what I do, but I don't know if that's what you want to do.
So notice how I'm keeping the parsley as if it was a bouquet of flowers. So I've got a little bit of water in there. Just make sure to change the water every day, otherwise it gets really slimy and smelly.
Okay, first I'll rinse it. What I do is
No shower.
I noticed the shape of it. You see, there's always these two that are smaller. So if I cut here, then I get a big stem. You see, so I go up and I go like this. Okay, you want to show me what you do?
I never paid attention to the shape of the parsley before, so I want to try your way.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying...
What I'm saying is that these two are so much lower that if you cut here, you get a big stem here.
Okay.
So I cut here and here.
And, okay, so the double cut.
Yeah. And I just use my fingers because it's pretty simple.
Do you ever use the stem?
And the stems, I use them sometimes, but not when I make food for somebody else because they're kind of tough.
They're tough. I put them in a stock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then when I would do this right over the soup. You're gonna bunch it in your fingers.
Yeah.
And you're gonna rip it.
Oh, that's what you do, eh? Yeah, I hate to throw away the stems sometimes.
So good. Our soup has been simmering away. And it is ready to try. So we're gonna actually put the coconut milk and the herbs on after we get it into the bowl instead of putting it into the pot. And the reason for that is the coconut milk is high in fat. And so we wanna kind of control how much of that we are consuming. So if you were okay with the extra fat, then you could put more coconut milk in there, but I like a little less. So I'm gonna do it afterwards. It's so thick. It's so good. Okay, and we're gonna drizzle that on there.
So I'm shredding a little bit of parsley on top.
Perfect, just like that.
Just like that. And you're doing the onions, or?
Put the onions on there.
Okay, about that much, or?
I like lots.
You like lots?
I like lots. Perfect. And then
It looks yummy.
like that. So before we add salt and pepper, we're gonna try it and see if you want to add any more. Okay.
So very nice. Now it's try.
Now we try it.
That's the best part of being a student.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Oh, so good.
I don't know if we have to add anything.
I think it's perfect.
It's delicious.